It's tempting to try and learn lessons about money from people who have been successful in life, the multimillionaires and the billionaires. But often the most interesting and insightful lessons come from those who have gone through difficult times and from those who have been broke. I thankfully have never been broke, but when I quit my job and moved to Thailand, I lived like I was broke, and that taught me that I can live on a lot less money, and it showed me that I can still have a good life without spending too much. We are in the most affluent area of Lisbon, Marquês de Pombal. We're finding out what lessons they've learned and if they've ever been broke before. So let's go and interview some people. Have you ever been broke before?
Yes, I have been broke before.
I was broke for a quite long time because of my own doing.
Sometimes happens some things in our lives that we don't expect.
It teaches you what is really important. There is a saying in French, you realize the true value of something once you lose it.
Have you ever been broke yourself?
I think I have. Work hard, try to save up.
Save as much as possible.
I have never been, but I think I'm also super lucky and privileged because of my parents and their jobs, that I always knew that they would be there to support. So this also gave me more freedom to take maybe more risks.
You have to be able to take risks. And that's the difference between rich and broke people. The first thing to do is really allocate your time effectively. Don't waste it. We're on this earth a limited amount of time. If you have 3 to 5 years to start a business, really grind away at it. You're never going to become rich working for somebody else.
Try to plan something for yourself. Nobody's gonna actively make you rich.
Never work for somebody else. If you have to, for a limited amount of time, learn and then start your own.
Always think of the future, but still that's not like a guaranteed advice for not being broke, because in this economy I think it's impossible.
Maybe as an accountant, you've seen people who have become broke. What lessons can we learn from the people that you've seen that have become broke?
First of all, you should be rational about what are you capable to have. I receive 2K per month, and then they do this monthly planning around this 2K, and you can't do that. You should do around 1.5K.
A margin of safety.
The saying, keep your penny for a rainy day.
People should not consider all the amount that they receive for their lifestyle. Create a lifestyle for an amount that is under what they receive.
Try to find a way to live where you pay as less as you can, you know.
Minimalism, like live on as less as possible.
Exactly.
You want what you can't have.
Yeah.
It's the biggest error. Live in a lifestyle above what they are really capable to have.
Minimalism also, in terms of behavior, starts in your behavior to buy, you know.
Yeah.
So you have to change your behavior, you know.
My dad used to say, what you own owns you.
There are so many things that you don't actually need, therefore you don't need to spend on them.
In his best-selling book, The Psychology of Money, Morgan Housel writes, wealth is not about how much money you have, but how little you need to live the life that you want. A study led by economist Elizabeth Dunn at the University of British Columbia found that 65% of individuals who faced financial hardship, like being broke, developed stronger money management skills over time. What's the best advice that you've ever received about money? Maybe from parents, from friends, people you've met, or maybe online?
What goes into your rent should be a third of what you earn.
Don't run after money, run after satisfaction. When you look at the Amazon office, the first one and stuff, it always started like that.
At the end of the day, you need to be very careful, do your homework, research, and then you should be okay, eventually.
I'm still learning. I'm trying to save as much as I can. Apparently, like in Portugal, if you're less than 35, it's a really good time to buy apartments.
I used to be very annoyed. My parents pushed to have prestigious jobs. I definitely thought that their way of thinking about this was like elitist and I didn't see the point. But now I do, and I do see how different lives get to live.
There are a lot of people still with the mentality of I will have my savings per month and I will put my savings by side and will stay there. And I mean, I'm studying corporate finance, and one of the things that you should know is that money stopped is losing money. You can put your money in SP 500, we can say, like some secure investments that at least will give you a return higher than the inflation, and then your money will not lose this value. This is the most simple thing that I can advise people to do in personal finance.
Always have a safety net, some sort of residual income coming in on a regular basis. Never depend on a job to get you rich. You have to diversify, go into different particular avenues and businesses to where you can build companies, to where if you lose your job, you still have money coming in.
Know about investment, for example, restaurant, hotel.
Use the opportunities that you have.
Yes.
The context of crypto, is something you can learn. This is something new.
Go into what you love, learn as much as possible, and then figure out a way to monetize it. If you're just starting a business because you're thinking about the end goal, you're never going to be successful. You got to go into it being passionate about it.
A groundbreaking 2010 study by Daniel Kahneman revealed that happiness doesn't significantly increase beyond an annual income of 75,000 euros a year. They found emotional well-being plateaus after that, even with more wealth. School doesn't teach us about money.
It's a national topic. We don't have any subject on the education of the kids to allow people to learn even the simple things that we should know in our personal finance.
We had to learn all these formulas for maths and chemistry, and we never learned about social security, tax systems, never learned about the different tax systems because it's also political topics.
Did your parents teach you about money, or in school did they teach you?
I think what I learned about money was from being broke, basically.
Yeah. School should do a better job of teaching about money, about investing, how to do taxes.
There are things that if everybody knows in terms of taxes, people can get more. And if people get more, the government tax less.
So you're saying there's an incentive almost for the government not to teach this?
If it was something that the government would like to happen, it would already happen.
It's such an important area of life, but yet school and society fails in that regard, I think.
Yeah, and I think it's also very different depending on where you're going to live as well. The tax, for example, here you've got a special niche. If you work in the Netherlands, is also very different. I think the clever thing to do is just be surrounded by the people that have got the knowledge, and that's what I try to do every time I change country. Like in business, if you've got the right advisors around and the people with knowledge, you will break it through, say.
That's such a good point. Have you heard of that saying where you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with? And I think that applies to money as well, right? So if you're around people who have done well, who have made it, you're probably going to learn from them and you're going to do well yourself.
Yeah, and the people that have struggled as well, just how did they get there? How did they make it happen? So that's also a big difference.
When I started to work in Hungary and I thought I had to do my own IRS, I had no idea, and I was certainly very anxious about having to do it, but then luckily my employer did it. Otherwise, I don't know how I would have managed it.
And if the government's not providing that advice, what basic advice would you give to someone that wants to improve their finances?
I already saw a lot of people thinking that, I will not pay an accountant to do my annual tax declaration 70 or 80 euros because it's a lot. And the advice that I have to give is that when you pay this value to an accountant, you will have a benefit higher than the amount that you pay to the accountant. Start consulting professionals who are on this area, and Portugal are very okay with that.
Actually, that advice can be applied to many things. Often people think they want to save money by paying less. But I think when it comes to the important, especially professions like an accountant, a lawyer, maybe a dentist, if you pay less, you often end up paying more in the long term. Money is a topic that we aren't taught in schools. And often money is something that is taboo to talk about, even with our friends or family. But often the topics that we're not meant to talk about are the ones that we should be talking more about.